Does anybody remember the character Wubbzy? And today we're going to be talking about him for this character request and a guest character for the most likely. I would like to say, you know, guest characters, guest DLC characters, and this is another idea and moveset for Wubbzy. Someone wanted to see Wubbzy implemented into this game. It's a Nick Jr. show. It's just like he says, "Wow, wow!" Nickelodeon stars today. But let's open up the roster so everybody can see the characters in the game.
Training.
So, hope we get more. But what's not to like about the Nick Jr. show is because we had Nick Jr. way before some of these characters ever existed. So, another great character, and I haven't watched too much of Wow Wow Wubbzy. And from Nick Jr., I didn't really watch too much of the show. At least I don't think I remember this character. I don't even think I know this character at all, to be honest. Because I watched other Nick Jr. shows from Dora the Explorer, and then Blue's Clues, Little Bill, all these different other shows from that was on different networks. Arthur, Franklin, Little Bear, the list goes on. And then some people probably don't remember Face. He was always just the character that would come up on the screen to advertise the net show that's coming up next on Nick Jr. It just brings back so many memories and just watching some of these shows. Kipper, Bob the Builder, it's so many. Oswald, way too many characters. So I think Wubbzy will be a good fit, and I'm gonna explain how he can be implemented in this game if they were to really try to dig into the universe of Nick Jr. Because I think that would be cool. There's still Nickelodeon characters. Nick Jr. is just a little bit different with some of these different shows from the time frames. So he's from Wow Wow Wubbzy. Wubbzy is his name, and I did some little research because I didn't know too much about this particular character. Wubbzy usually spends his days chasing butterflies, eating ice cream cones. At least from what I found out, playing games with his Kickety-Kick Ball and Hippity Hopscotch. I remember that game from way back when you would play during recess. It's amazing. But just different memories like tag, ice, freeze tag. It goes on and on. But all Wubbzy wants to do is play, and play. So I just ended up finding out about him, getting to know him from the characters, and he always says "wow" or "wow, wow" when he finds things, different items, and that's how he greets people. You can see it in the episodes and the clips. So no matter what's going on, and when he's gonna get ready to say something, he's gonna say "wow, wow," and that's how he really talks. And he's a cool character, and he has a lot of friends. So when once he runs into a problem, he relies on the help and the advice of his friends that will look out for him and back him up. So that's just basically just a little backstory about him. Just before we start getting into the characters, so I didn't want to just start. I just like sharing these characters, whether or not I know him, know these different characters from these different shows, movies, or video games, stuff like that, or different movies and different channels and whatnot. It's always fun to share the backstory so people can get to know him a little bit and who he is, even if you haven't heard of the show before or haven't watched it on Nick Jr. But the stages, only could come up with one because the main setting for Wubbzy or Wow Wow Wubbzy is Wuzzleberg. That's the main setting. So that can be the potential stage that could be associated with him in a DLC pack for a little guest DLC character for Wubbzy from Nick Jr.'s Wow Wow Wubbzy. And I think he'll be a cool little character and fun to play. And he looks cool. And just from watching the show and just different clips. So that's the only stage that I could come up with. Wuzzleberg is the main setting of the show. It's where everything goes down and takes place from the show itself, with their little adventures for Wubbzy, and he's hanging out with his friends, and whatnot, having fun, playing games, just in the outdoors. But now it's time for alternate costumes I came up with. So I did some digging to try to find out what else could Wubbzy wear. What could be an alternate costume. See how these characters, Leonardo. What could be an alternate costume that could come out with him maybe for free, or what could be a paid DLC. Maybe some of the rest of his outfits could be paid DLC. And I ended up finding quite a bit about these different costumes that he wears. It's different mini outfits. So I selected Wubbzy's magician outfit from, or I would like to call it Magic Wubbzy from Wubbzy's Magic School, the episode from that. So you can find a little clip about that when he was trying to use different magic, when he was performing different magic tricks on the stage in the little clip, and they had the little song playing. But as much as I want to play it in the background, I just don't want to take that risk. So I selected that as a little cool little alternate costume. And then another one for some of you guys that are huge fans of Wubbzy will probably recognize this one. Wonder Wubbzy, the superhero. Wonder Wubbzy is the hero, or the hero role that he would play in the show. So I think this would be a cool little DLC. You guys will probably be able to take a glimpse of it when you guys check this video out and see what it looks like. I'm going to feature that for this video, his Wonder Wubbzy superhero outfit, and I got that from the Weather Checker 3000 episode. So he wears that, and then one other particular character, one of his friends wears it as well. She has her own little outfit, but this is Wubbzy's little spotlight. But he will wear this superhero outfit and this costume with her, but I forgot her name. But it's definitely from the Weather Checker 3000. I'm sure he wears it in other episodes, but I just referenced that because I was in a clip that I ended up finding, and from one of the episodes when I'm just getting to know Wubbzy. So if anything, I think I would definitely recommend adding. I would definitely think most people want to see and want to purchase his Wonder Wubbzy superhero outfit. Could be an alternate costume, and it could be paid DLC, because people who like this show, they're gonna make that move, and regardless of whatever costume he wears. He had a magician outfit, just like I just finished talking about, the Wonder Wubbzy, and then he had other costumes that he could wear. It was like two different versions of the Wonder Wubbzy. It almost looked like I think it was a red and blue one that he had on, but that wasn't him. I think it was a different. I don't know if that's Wonder Wubbzy, or is that a different name that he would classify himself as a different hero. It's almost like a Superman outfit, but it has Superman colors, red, blue, and yellow. But those are the alternate outfits I would like to see implemented into this game, especially Wonder Wubbzy for huge fans of the show. I think you guys would like that. So now let's move on to the taunts that I came up with. See how I was talking about just how he says, wow, wow, wow. He can do a taunt. He can do a taunt and say, wow, something like that. Or wow, and just smile, just like he does in the show. So I think that'll be really fun to really see in this game, and it's his favorite phrase in the show. It's a favorite catchphrase that's in the show. I think this will be really fun, and he says it at the beginning of every single episode, and even as a greeting that I just finished explaining. He says it as a greeting, wow, wow, or he'll say it one time, twice. Sometimes he'll say it twice, and then what I also found out is when he finds certain things, if he finds more than one item, he will say it 3 times. So I thought that would be a perfect taunt for him. Why not? For Wubbzy. And then a winning animation I came up with. He could say, wow, once he wins and gets the dub in the match, he could say, wow, wow, everyone, my name is Wubbzy. So he could say that. Or they could cut it down and have him say, wow, wow, everyone. But I came up with a little idea with that, because since it's his favorite catchphrase, if they add items into this game, it could match. It could be perfect, the perfect line or the perfect catchphrase or reaction when he picks up an item, if they ever add items into this game. If they continue with that. I don't know if that's just a rumor or if that was supposed to happen. But if items are into this game, Wubbzy will be the perfect character to react to the items that he picks up picks up on the map or onto the battlefield and during the matches and say, wow. And then they can just change it up. He'll say it one time, or maybe he'll say it twice. Double wows. See, it'll be really cool. And I really got that from the intro thing. So when you watch like an episode and just listen to what he says at the beginning, and just during the intro thing, you can really see him say that stuff, and just those different phrases, and from any episode or a greeting. So that's easily the perfect taunt, and it'll be a cool little funny winning animation that I think you guys would think is cute, and also people will really like for him. for fans of the show. Now it's time for the Moveset. So I really had fun creating this and just doing some more research on Wubbzy or what he can do. And his tail is iconic. And since he likes playing games and he has a favorite toy, I use all those different things and finding out more about Wubbzy to come up with this moveset. So let's get it started. So I came up with a Wubbzy Tail Strike that he can use for a few light attacks to damage the opponent. He can definitely do a few series of combos with his tail, and it's just iconic from the show. So he's definitely going to be he's going to have all types of different offense with his tail, and even he'll be able to grab people. See how Patrick has his own little different grabbing, slamming, his grabbing animation when he grabs you, because he's a grappler. But Wubbzy can utilize his tail, and I came up with, he can use his tail to squeeze the life out of the enemy and immobilize them. So he can bind you. He can put you in like a bind with his tail, and he can squeeze you. That'd be a cool little grabbing animation, a different variation, and a huge change for everybody else who has the same grab moves or grabbing animation attacks. Besides, outside of Patrick, everyone has the same grabbing animation. Wubbzy can be another iconic character with a unique grabbing animation and a unique grabbing sort of offensive move to damage the opponent. So not only does he have you in a bind, he can squeeze you and you'll take damage gradually as the player presses maybe like the square button or just like the light attack to squeeze, and it can just trap you in it, and you have to try to wiggle out of it and try to get out of it, mashing the buttons to try to quickly get out of it before he really puts you in a bigger bind. So I came up with that for his little tail. His favorite toy from the show, I ended up finding out, was the Kickety-Kick Ball that I mentioned earlier today. The Kickety-Kick Ball is the blue ball that was his favorite toy, and I thought this could be utilized as a projectile and could be thrown at the opponent, and it's a bouncy ball. His Kickety-Kick Ball bounces back and bounces around. Maybe when he throws it back, it can bounce back to Wubbzy, and he can catch and throw in a series for a few times. Catch, throw, and it'll bounce back. They could put that into his little offense, utilize his little kickball, his Kickety-Kick Ball. It can be thrown at the opponent, and it can probably launch you. If enough damage is done to you, it can even be able to kill, or secure a knockout, or get a point. His Kickety-Kick Ball, and I found out that he usually plays with his Kickety-Kick Ball during his spare time, but sometimes he ends up dodging his chores. I just found that out about him with his. He really liked this toy, and he just likes playing with the Kickety-Kick Ball so much that he will always get caught and sucked into just playing with the Kickety-Kick Ball, dodging his chores and other things that he's supposed to be doing. So I think that'll be a really cool, unique move to see, and for you guys that like the show, his Kickety-Kick Ball being utilized in this game, I think that can also be iconic. Also found some more things about him with his love for doodleberries, and I watched him use some DoodleBerry Spray to be able to magically grow the doodleberries out of nowhere, out of the ground up. From the ground up, he can just bring out a DoodleBerry Spray, and I thought this could be some kind of he can occasionally use the spray to bring out doodleberries to recover every now and then, occasionally, so that way the player cannot spam the doodleberry spray to try to quickly recover and then get right back into the fight. But I thought, just so it's fair, if Wubbzy uses his doodleberry spray, the doodleberries will not only be able to heal Wubbzy, it can heal SpongeBob and all the rest of the characters in the game if the players can manage to pick up the berries in quick fashion before the player behind Wubbzy, the enemy or the opponents that you're facing on the field can also be able to grab and eat the doodleberries. so they'll be able to recover as well. So that way, it just doesn't favor Wubbzy. It's also it's balanced, so the player can also benefit from that DoodleBerry magic spray that he uses in the show. See what I'm saying? So I think that'll be something that could really be implemented into this game. I really would like that. And just going back to his offensive move with his tail, I ended up finding out that he loved bouncing on his tail sometimes when he likes to play around. He'll bounce on his tail like a pogo stick. So I came up with a pogo stick tail sort of offensive move where he can be able to attack the opponent. Boom, boom, boom. Because he bounces around on the tail in the show. So I thought that'll be really cool. And that could be like a diving move, you know. You just dive right on top of the opponent, and he can bounce off of you, and he can combo it. So once he hits you, he can bounce right off of your head, and be able to continue to bounce off his tail as like a pogo stick, just like he does in the show. See how they can really implement all these different things from what he likes and what he can do in the show. And then last but not least, speaking of his tail, a bounce tail recovery move. And each time the player uses this recovery move, he can say, wow! He'd probably say something like that. That could be cool. He could say, wow! Each time he uses this to spring back into the fight. So that'll be something, I can really see that implemented. This is his voice. Wow, wow, wow! He could be in this game. He could be in this game. I would buy him, I would play. He'd be a Wubbzy main. But he is so much fun. It's such a good show. It's a great show, but I don't know if you guys ever seen it. So this is Wild Wild Wubbzy, and Wubbzy is definitely a good fit for this game. And they can take these other characters from the Nick Jr. shows to be implemented in this game. It's still part of the Nickelodeon universe. So why not Nick Jr. characters to be able to get in? And I think he'll be a fan favorite. Whether or not you watch the show, he's a cool character. And I think he'll be fun to really play with in this game, and as a little guest DLC character. So those are my ideas, and the moveset I could come up with. Let me know what you guys think for Nick Jr. characters, and maybe some of you guys might have some other Nick Jr. characters you guys would like to see me talk about. I'm willing to do so. It's so much fun, and just all these different characters to talk about and share, and some people who might not know of can probably just be interested in checking out some of these shows, whether or not they've seen them. But I think Wubbzy would really be a lot of fun to play with.